Human rights and the fifth estate.
Comunidad.
Daraja.
Smile.
Harambe.
Makar.
Righteousness.
Habla.
Human rights and the fifth estate.
They checked on the computer and they stopped my father. They didn't let him get on the plane, and my father got detained at that day, and they set me on the airplane, and I came to United States by myself. I was supposed to come with my father, but now just everything changed a lot. I was so sad because it's my first time to saw somebody else, strangers pulling my father, and that I always very respect him, and we almost never argued at home even, so it's my first time to see someone so treat my father unrespectful. I was shocked and I was so sad. I was angry and I was very worried because I don't know what will happen to him. And for 14 hours flight, I was very nervous. For 14 hours, I even couldn't sleep on the airplane for 14 hours. I woke up because of so many phone calls where my phone was ringing all the time, like for about 40 minutes, and from different people. I got 13 phone calls from different people, from some journalists, from my family, and from my father's friend. And I was shocked. What is going on? Suddenly happened. And when I picked one of the phone, I didn't know who it is. Who was it? And said, the first question is, could you please talk about what's your feeling now about how the government treat to your the trial to your father? I was shocked because I just woke up and my brain wasn't very clear. I asked what trial, and then I checked the internet and I knew that the government finally charged my father. I tried to talk to my father's lawyer, and he said this is shocking to him too, because the government didn't accept my father's lawyer's requirement to exchange the documents, and all of those requirements was legal, and they just without letting my father's lawyer know, they just published this news that they charged my father as a separatist. My father is a professor in Minzu University in Beijing. My father is an expert in economics. He created a website, we call it Uyghur Online, and another name is Uyghur Biz. So that time a lot of people comment and post article on it, and people talk about what happened in Xinjiang, what happened between Uyghur and Han Chinese people, and that captured a lot of attention from the government. Because of the publicity of my father's website getting popular, and there are a lot of people paying attention on my father's blog, and also through this blog people can know a lot of things about Xinjiang, and that sometimes it's not what government wants. So I think that's why he fall in trouble now. He wanted to help Uyghur people, and he wanted to more people know what is happening in Uyghur society, and he wants more people know what is Uyghur people's like situation. And first of all, he created this website is for helping the children, because few years ago, I remember when I was in high school, my father was helping the children who were kidnapped by the elder people, and they become thief, and they were hurted, and like they're mistreated, and they have to beg on the street. My father wanted to help them to find their family, and he used this website to like put advertisement to get to spread news and let more people know about this, and then can help some children. He did help a lot of children find their families. When my father and my brothers, they were taking nap at home, and someone just crashed into the door, and they were like over, as my brother described, they were over 20 to 40. I don't know the exact number, that what he described was like this 20 to 40 police get in, and they just pulled my father in, and they hit my father to the couch, and my brothers were crying, and they were very afraid, and they took my father, and because of my stepmom was in the work, she was working, and so they were afraid nobody care about this the children, they will be alone at home. So they called my stepmom, and I think it's a neighbor called, I'm not sure about its neighbor or police, called my stepmom to come back home to stay with 2 children, and they took my father away. We have different cultural, and we have different languages, so, and we have different face. Our face looks absolutely different as Han Chinese people, so sometimes it happens like on the street or in jobs. It happens sometimes that we treat it differently. In every race there are good people and bad people, but sometimes good people also treat it like this way. So like when they first go to a hotel, they might not get their room, and it happened to us before. Like they will have to first confirm, and then from the higher level people, if they allowed us to get in, then they will allow us to check into the hotel. First, because we are Uyghur, our eyes look a little deeper. Sometimes we look like foreigners. And when me and my father, we went to a shopping mall, when they think that we are from foreign country, they treat us very nice, and they talk to us very patient. But since they know that we are Uyghur, they suddenly just lost every patience, and they just, okay, do whatever you want, buy whatever you want, just come to pay. Like their attitude will change very fast, since they know that we're from Xinjiang, and their attitude just change completely sometimes. First of all, they will speak English to us, and then since we spoke Chinese, they said, how do you know Chinese? And we respond, because we are Chinese, so of course we speak Chinese. And then they would say, oh, you're from Xinjiang, and you can tell they start being impatient. Like from their face, you can feel that, and they were in front of you, and then that time they will just go away or walk around and not being with you, helping with you for shopping anymore, like that. I think that basically there are a lot of people who posted. Not only my father is not the only writer here. A lot of people, they are free to post and their comment. They are free to talk. And usually my father delete the very extreme comments, and because some people, different people have their different opinion, but some people's like extreme comments might affect others' opinion too. So my father will sometimes delete their comments if it's too extreme, and usually my father keep the moderate one. And my father always accept the article from everywhere, from whatever you are, Uyghur or Mongol or Han Chinese or other minority. When the second year of my high school, when I get home, because I was only able to go back home on the weekend. I lived at school, so one of the Saturday when I went back to my home, I found out nobody at my home, and you can feel that nobody there for a few days, and it's weird that my parents and my brother didn't tell me that they are going somewhere, and they didn't leave any messages, and I was very shocked and I was afraid. So I stayed in front of our house door for a few hours, and I couldn't get them back. And I asked the neighbors. They said they don't know where are they. So, and I found some clothes are gone. So, and I went to somewhere else to live for a few days, and they just disappeared for a few days without any messages for me. So after like 2 weeks, they finally came back, and they called me, said they've been traveling, and their sounds were different, like not like, oh, we went to travel, and there's we were traveling, and then we left you a message, but I didn't get any. So after that, I knew something wrong is going on with my family now. My grandma was a little sick, so we let her came to Beijing to like go to hospital to go to doctor, and when my father already arrived airport and took my grandma, and all my family was on the car, and when they were on their way back home, there was a car crashed on my father's car, and there was a police get out the car, and my father also got off the car, and my father pointed in the car in the window, said, all my families, there are kids inside, and the police said, that's what I'm supposed to, I'm gonna kill entire family members. That's what he said. And it was, when my father told me, I was shocked, and also this news was being published that time. A lot of students love him, and the students likes to listen to his class. A lot of students from other school, like they took 2 hours buses to come to my father's class, because my father's class is like open to everyone can listen his classes. So a lot of students can go to his class, like sometimes even get 100 students in a classroom, that everyone just sitting there to listen to how my father's way to teach. He very he cares about all his students, so he always invites students to come to dinner in my house, and we always cook together for all the students. So people always said that our home is like a hotel or a restaurant for the students. My brother, who is 7 years old now, because he saw how my father was detained, how they hit my father. So he was like, and also he was under house arrested for half a year, and he couldn't go to school very well, and he couldn't play with any kids, and he was being under very high pressure. Now he has heart problem, and we sent him back to Xinjiang to relax and stay with his relatives. Then we hope that he can feel better soon. by creating this website, my father's website, he was trying to let more people know about the culture, and he wanted to also advocate that people should treat whoever you are, that you should be treated same equally, whatever you are, Han Chinese or Uyghur or other minority ethnicity people. So he wanted Uyghur people can get same job opportunity, and same, of course the attitude should be like same when people meet each other, like people can be communicate very well. That's what my father wanted. Last month, finally, the government allowed my father's lawyer to visit him for one time, and they could meet. That's how we knew that they denied my father to eat for 10 days. My father's lawyer told us that he looked very weak and he lost too much weight, so he's very skinny now. But also he told us that his eyes is still very shining. He was honored to freedom to write from pen, and I really appreciate what they did for my father, and it really helped a lot. It captured more people's attention, and I think it's really good for my father's case. And in my father's case, we need more people's attention, then people won't forget, and the government know that outside of the China people are paying attention, and they would treat my father's case carefully and fairly. 4 months ago, I went to the State Department. I testified for my father, and it captured a little attention for my father. And after that, in the same day of the gala, my op-ed in New York Times had been published. I was really worried. Are all the things that I've done is really helpful for my father, or it might have negative impact for my father, like effect for my father? I was really worried. It's like gambling. We have to try, because I can't just sit there and wait news. I have been waiting for 3 months from January to March, and the government didn't give me what I want. So I had to stand up to speak for my father, because I can't just stand there to wait, because he's my father. I want my father to get released soon, so I have to try whatever I can do.
You think it might work, but you're not sure.
I'm not sure, because we don't know how the government think. We don't know how they will do for the next step. I'm just trying all the way that can help him.
I've been barred from going to China. I flew into Beijing with a valid visa, passport, and I was put into detention at the airport and sent back on the first plane. Clearly I am on a blacklist. All that I've done is speak out for Ilham. I've been very vocal, perhaps very much so, but nevertheless, the only thing that I've used on Ilham's behalf are words. And I have no intention of shutting up. And I think I phrased it this way. I said, I have no intention of conforming to authoritarian norms in order to get a visa. And, there's nothing more that I can say about that. One thing which has to be pointed out is that, he very purposefully created this blog, which is in Chinese, in order that Chinese people could read about what was going on in Xinjiang and how Uyghur people felt. And it was really meant to be a forum between Uyghurs and Chinese as much as anything else. He was interested in dialogue, and his website was centered around that. But of course, the most important thing is to bring before a Chinese readership the feelings of Uyghurs. Because the vast majority of people in the People's Republic of China, the Chinese majority, knows how they feel. Or they know what the party line is, I should say. But what they're not exposed to is the feelings and the sentiments and the perspective of Uyghurs. And so he wanted to create a space in which it was possible for Chinese readers to have access to this. Chinese readers, some of them indeed were responsive. But, you know, it's a funny thing when you have websites like this and when you have people posting like this, sometimes you'll get very nasty rejoinders. And it is a part of the Chinese method of dealing with online dissidents to use people to post negative and nasty things. Some people call them the 50-cent army or whatever. The idea being that they get half of a yuan for each post they put up. And this is well known.
I think they should release him.
What do you think they should do?
Well, you know, it's never too late to do the right thing. I mean, no matter how bad the situation is, one has to advocate that they do the right thing. He's been arrested on trumped-up charges. I think he should be released, of course. As I said, I don't think it's possible for him to get a fair trial, and I certainly don't think the Chinese government would allow objective and impartial observers to go over the evidence and to review the trial. It's been noted, not by me but by others, that Ilham Tohti is one of the few Uyghur intellectuals who's not seriously contemplating separatism and independence by arresting the one person who actually is trying to maintain a dialogue with free-thinking Chinese intellectuals and others inside the People's Republic of China. They've basically added fuel to the fire of those who really don't see any future in Xinjiang's being a part of the People's Republic of China, any Uyghur future in this. When it comes to China now, there is an increasing silence. And this is not, it's, you know, don't get me wrong, it's not just Hollywood. This carries over into many aspects of life, including corporations, universities. There are many institutions and many entities which really do want a place within the Chinese economy. And we wind up with these palliatives that some people will say, oh, no, 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 don't protest publicly. We need quiet diplomacy, which is, you know, the same argument that was made during the heyday of apartheid.
The Chinese government in general is quite intolerant of free speech, particularly free speech that is critical of their policies or of the party in any way. So Ilham Tohti is unfortunately one of a number of Chinese writers and scholars who have been persecuted or imprisoned for their words, essentially, for their writing, for what they speak about. In Ilham Tohti's case, he's essentially in prison for trying to have a conversation. Ilham Tohti himself, last July 2013, published a statement through Radio Free Asia, which our president has described as a chronicle of an arrest foretold, in which he essentially laid out his fears that he was about to be arrested for good, and then did a catalog, which is just absolutely chilling now that we know what has happened to him, where he described that there were no marks on his body. He described words that he would never say. He said, I would never commit suicide, that's against my beliefs. This is a person who is laying out his will, in a way, to try to tell you, if they tell you that I did this to myself, don't believe them. And because he's raised questions about the Chinese government's policies in Xinjiang, which is where most of the Uyghur minority lives, he's been put in jail and charged with a very serious crime. He is formally being indicted for the charge of separatism, which is an extremely serious charge in China. Carries a prison term of up to the death penalty, or life imprisonment, or a term of years. We don't know what it will be yet. But the formal indictment is particularly significant in China because this tends to mark the stage at which there is no return. It's extremely rare to be acquitted after you have been formally indicted. So at this point, the expectation is there will be something of a show trial, and then there will be a conviction and a sentencing. He's a really remarkable person with a really remarkable family. His young daughter, Jauhar, who is only 18 and 19 years old, is currently living essentially on her own in the United States at Indiana University, where she's studying English. And this incredibly brave young woman has taken it upon herself to fight for her father's freedom at an age most of us wouldn't even think about standing for any political issue. If you go to our website, you'll find several different ways you can help in Ilham's case. We have a petition that you can sign. There's an open letter that we put out from a number of prominent writers to the Chinese government calling for his release. There's also ways that you can help by putting out word about his case through social media, through your own Twitter account or your Facebook account, telling people what you know about the case. There's a number of things you can do, really. Dialogue is so important, particularly to PEN, because we think that it is the way to resolve conflict and to avoid conflict. PEN was founded in between the two great world wars. After World War I and right before World War II, you began to see the emergence of centers of writers who believed firmly that the way to avoid future conflict was through promoting dialogue and expression between people who might not agree, but who needed a space in which to talk to each other and work out their differences. And that's really the core of everything that we do. We believe that freedom of expression is the right that allows you to fight for all of your other rights, and we believe that free expression and literature are indivisible. You need one to have the other, and literature is one of the great ways to promote freedom of expression. Another thing that I think people can do is consider hosting public events or writing in, if you've got a hometown newspaper and you want to write in an op-ed or a letter to the editor about his case or about other free expression issues that matter to you. I think people forget that that still matters. People still pay attention to that news. Americans should care about this because a threat to free expression anywhere in the world is a threat to it everywhere. Free speech is a valuable and very delicate right, and it comes under threat every day in parts of the world, including in the United States. And as a country that has traditionally been a champion of free expression around the world and a great defender of it, one of the things I admire personally about my country is that we really are absolute in this conviction that speech is always the way forward, that there is no speech that should be banned, that speech should always be encouraged, and that speech you don't agree with, the answer to that is more speech, is more dialogue. And as a country that has that particular history and inheritance of real respect and celebration of free speech, Americans should be involved in making sure that other people enjoy that right as well. Free speech is not a luxury, it's a right, and Americans have a role to play in sending that message abroad.